Yes, my real last name is Arcade. I should legally change it to Pinball. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Rhett, Mr. Loaf, Midge. We miss you as our camera operator. Hey, Pin Daddy. Alright, I guess we should start, right? Alright. Isn't this music great? It's so creepy. Kyle's still working that bio break? Yeah, Kyle's always pooping. Alright, here we go.
What am I doing?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 47.
Oh my gosh.
PinTech Live. Almost to the big 5-0, Kyle.
Wait, I ask this every time, but when did we start doing this again?
Our first show was...
It was after my birthday, so it was sometime in the middle of April, right?
April 23rd.
Yeah. Dang.
And I might be actually in South Carolina this April 23rd, so maybe we'll do a special episode where I'm actually there.
Oh my gosh. Cool, so I can just sit there and you can do all of the fixing.
I would love to do a show where you're like telling me what to do and I have to actually try to do it. That would be really fun.
That would be fun.
Something easy like changing rubbers on the flippers.
Nah, you're gonna at least rebuild a flipper. That's what you're gonna do. Start there.
Flipper? Okay.
We'll start there.
So how's everyone doing? Did you guys get a chance to watch the Stern Heads Up Pinball Invitational that premiered last Friday?
I did.
Oh, thanks.
It was fun.
Really hard on it. Oh, thank you for the resubscribe, Wild Man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah, use your Prime accounts to the fullest.
You'll be rewarded with some terrible pinball playing this weekend if you're watching Twitch on a Saturday night or Sunday night or whatever.
Loud. Let's see.
What I do?
I'm Chuck. Welcome. How do I sound now? Ooh, I'm almost peaking. Kyle, you talk. You're just going to do a quick mic check.
I am talking. Hello.
All right, how's that sound?
I've got all sorts of crap to talk about what we're doing today. Mostly specific to Jungle Lord, but...
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Loaf.
Mr. Loaf? How does it feel to be referred to as Mr. Loaf?
Mr. Loaf.
I think that's pretty dang cool.
Right? I'll stop if you don't love it, but I think it's a great name. It's a little mixing.
How about Senor Loaf?
Senor Loaf. Yes. Oh, Dragor's here. Hello, hello. All right, well, today we are still in the jungle, as you can see. No bugs here, thankfully.
No, you're wrong. I got eaten by mosquitoes last week when I was sitting on my porch drinking a beer after work.
Hey, what's up, Colin Baxter?
Oh, Colin Baxter. Hey, I forgot to respond to your email.
That's what you always say.
Well, you should see how many emails I get a day. I wish I could respond to all of them. But Colin Baxter is now the proud owner of a Last Action Hero. What a great game.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Where did my bent screwdriver go? Oh my goodness.
Oh, bent screwdriver emote.
Cancel the show.
Yep.
Turn it off.
We are working on Jungle Lord, flipping around in the jungle. It's going to be all about flipper rebuilding today, right, Kyle?
We're going to do all sorts of experimental flipper things today. Nothing is super standardized on today's program, so replicate at your own risk.
All right, well, let's get into it, shall we? Oh, well, let me tell everyone our free domestic shipping for orders over $99 code for today is PT-Me Tiger. Because
that's what the Jungle Lord says.
Yeah. Me, Lord of the Jungle, me Tiger.
He says all sorts of fun stuff. All of like the 8 words that this guy can say. Get in there, little thing.
In the chat real quick for y'all. Oh, and get ready. I mean, you guys always get this awesome free shipping code, but we will be having a spring sale next week. It'll be Wednesday through Friday next week. And not only will we have our free domestic shipping code, we'll also be having 10% off our entire tool category and 20% off our entire apparel category. I hope I'm not speaking ahead of myself. I should have talked to Midge first about this. It's a little IT work. You know, we're trying to expand our sales for our international customers. And hopefully if this works, this will also give you guys a little deals to look forward to. So
there's a very high chance that you'll get 10% off of a lot of stuff next week.
We're hoping. And, you know, we're growing it. You know, our IT team is working very hard in the background to get our website even better than it already is. And lots of growth and expansion coming from us very soon.
That's right.
Need some teas, yeah.
Oh, hey, and let's be upfront about today's episode also. There is a mild chance that we will just go like radio silent if the storm that was supposed to happen actually starts to happen and the internet dies. I'm sorry, but
yeah, everyone. Kyle was trying to cancel the show today, saying there was a tornado warning.
No.
He wanted to go home.
No.
I was like, "There's not gonna be a tornado. We're going live, buddy boy."
I was trying to convince Emoto to let me film this in my living room, and she said that it was not up to snuff as a studio.
There's the decorating first.
Now, rain or shine, we got to do this, right?
But for those who are always looking for a weekend repair stream, we should be live sometime, maybe Saturday or Sunday afternoon or evening.
That is what I said.
This weekend.
That is what I said last week, but things came up for me. But this weekend, I will be trying to do something at least like. I'm working on X-Files. I've almost got the X-Files like good to go.
Hello, Ballet Norway.
And I was thinking we might be able to do like gameplay / tweaking of the X-Files while we one night, maybe Saturday night or something like that. So it might be fun.
That'll be a lot of fun.
I hope so. Okay.
So Kyle, you're just working away and not telling us anything. So what are you doing over there?
Because I was trying to get all of this done before we went live, but then we had to film a little something for this year's Twippy Awards.
Yep.
I got set back just a teeny bit. So we are underway in the process of swapping out the old flipper mechs in this game for new ones. There are very, very, very few times when you would actually need to replace a full flipper like mechanism in all of the pieces. But as we talked about, I think 2 episodes ago, when my friend TJ was here, The old Williams flipper mechanisms are very different than which camera's on? That one.
Blue cam. Yeah, you want to walk up to it?
No, it's the Sony cam.
That's not the Sony.
It is. I'm poking it right now.
Oh, no.
The old Williams flipper mechs had a permanently attached coil stop. And this makes them slightly annoying to service. And because I wanted to do something kind of weird, we just decided to get rid of them. But I actually did find something on this game in particular where using the later style kind of doesn't work and is detrimental. So let me show you what we've got really quick. Do you want to switch over to the handheld camera? I need a rag.
Sure.
You're so dirty. Let's go for a ride. Okay, so, you know, most of the times flippers have plenty of room, right? You've got all sorts of space, top and bottom, left and right, where the flippers normally go. On this guy here, that's not the case. This is a unique case because it is an upper flipper. But with that encased or that attached coil stop in this assembly, this doesn't become an issue, right? Do you see here between the playfield and the coil stop? That was not easy to squeeze all this in here. Yeah. I had all of this installed, and I just said, F it, we're just going to keep it this way. But it is difficult. It will be difficult when we do need to go back and service this thing with it this way. The way I found it easiest to get these coil stop screws in was, and this, since the playfield is all disassembled, do you see right through here? Let me see if I can balance this with my forehead.
With your forehead?
So I can get a hand down here. You see my finger?
Oh, we see your finger. Oh my gosh, that's
so
such a tight
I had to sneak one of these screws in through here, which is very easy to do when the plastics are off, but it does kind of make this a little more difficult because, you know, originally my complaint was, oh, I need to take the coil retainer off to service this flipper. That's a pain in the butt. Now I will need to take a couple plastics off to do it without getting super grumpy. So, you know, I guess do this on a Jungle Lord at your own discretion.
Why did they make it recessed like that?
Well, this was the easiest way for them to make an upper playfield at this time, right? So they're very easy to service because everything is exposed, but
it's hard to get to.
Well, this is impossible to get to, but if we had the enclosed coil stop where to disassemble the flipper, all we needed to do was take these screws out and then disassemble everything, it's not that hard. In this case, it's kind of a pain in the butt. So I didn't think about that, and we just learned it now, but you know what? We've got it in there. It's going to be fine. I reversed the flipper coil to get the diode side away from the coil stop. I'm keeping the serial wound flipper coils in there because why not? They're not bad. So yeah, I was just going to finish installing this guy here, but maybe now, since we are totally live, let's do a totally naked one up top. And we could take a look-see at all of the parts we have and what we need to do this job. So let's go back this way.
And that's what Green Cam is looking at right now?
Yeah, we never checked the camera. Do you want to pop it on really quick?
Yes, it's on. It looks right. Oof.
Yeah, I'll be able to adjust that to make it work. Well, maybe we'll do both of these upper flippers. I can just do this while we're chit-chatting. But let's go back over to the bench really quick. And
can I read out David Valansky's comment first?
No. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, of course you can.
He said, I had a case where I had to replace flippers everything. I got a Project Charlie's Angels, Gottlieb System 1. The set screws on the crank were totally seized. No solvent would free them.
Oh my goodness.
I destroyed several Allen wrenches in attempts. Oof. Nothing worked to get them loose. I eventually had to destroy the bat and shoe so I could remove and replace everything.
That is one of those rare instances where you really need to cut things apart. I've had the same problem, David, and I've needed to go in with bolt cutters to cut flippers apart and stuff to get everything apart. It's annoying.
So sometimes you got to get even really in there.
So let's so I think switch over to the handheld camera, would you? We'll do some bench work here for just a minute. So we've gone over flipper stuff, and I'm going to reiterate a little bit without going into crazy detail, unless someone throws up a red flag and says, wait, teach me more. The pieces that you would need to replace, I guess what I'm trying to say is you don't generally need to replace the entire flipper mechanism, right? The coil, the plate, the stake, the bushing, right? Generally, you can service each of these components individually. That being said, depends on what is broken on what you maybe would want to buy, right? You've got these, this is called a PIM nut. It is this is like peened or swaged or something into here, and it's a captive nut. But if these things ever would strip out, you would need to replace the entire flipper base to have it work like factory again. If you're super desperate, you could put a screw and a nut on the bottom, but that makes it difficult to reservice once it is that way. So generally, you are going to be replacing everything attached to this. If you're really unlucky and one of these things is stripped out or broken, you have to replace the whole base, but you can get these things, every piece is available individually.
Yep.
So what we're doing here, though, is we are taking these late style being, I don't know actually when they switched from using the captive guys. I mean, I'm going to assume around the System 11 era, so Pinbot, high speed kind of times, Definitely high speed was before Pinbot, but anywho, we have to rebuild these. Now, I got all of these components individually, and we're going to kind of get into some of the minutia of it forward, but let's put together a flipper base. I think we've done this with roller games, but let's do it again. I need my number 2 screwdriver and a 5/16 open-end wrench or a nut driver. And what we need to do is we need to get the flipper bushing attached to the base. The bushing, the plate is threaded, so you're going to thread these screws in, and then you're going to affix and torque them in. From the factory, they were just standard number 6 nuts. It wasn't a Kep's nut, it wasn't an elastic lock nut, just a standard number 6 nut. So I'm doing it exactly like the factory would have. A Kep's nut is this nut, but it has I don't know, what's the word? It's got a lock washer kind of built into the nut. Elastic lock nut, that is a very common nut on pinball assemblies that has the little elastic piece that keeps the whole assembly nice and snug. But these are just standard nuts. So what I'm doing here is I am tightening the screw down, holding the screw in place so it doesn't turn, and then torquing this down. And that prevents this from backing out. Yeah. I'm going to do the same thing over here.
So basically, those brackets come without that plastic piece. What is the plastic piece called again?
A flipper bushing.
The flipper bushing, and then you had just installed them onto that plate.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
You're just tightening them?
If you buy this part from us, I think it's C-something. It's going to come up in the scrolling list of parts. But there's a left and a right side, and the way we sell these is the base. It's the plate with this stake, right? This is where your end of stroke switch and spring attaches to, and it does have these screws. So it comes like this, right? Without this flipper bushing.
Gotcha.
Now, again, if I would have known about if I would have thought about the spatial constraints, you can get the old style flipper plates still. Those are still available. But the thing is like even with that inconvenience, I still do feel like this is a better move, just because it is more serviceable. right? If you ever had a problem with the coil stop in your that old style base, you would still need to replace the entire base, which kind of sucks. So. All right, so we've got these flipper bushings in. We now are going to just put the rest of the accoutrements on. Do not forget your little flipper crank stops. These are important to not make noisy flippers, etc. They just snap into the base, the back of the flipper base here, and what that does is keeps this guy.
Board.
Wrong side. It keeps this guy from just ramming into the metal, right? When this guy, man, it's like I've never put a flipper together before.
Just don't do it backwards.
Whatever. It doesn't matter what side goes on. This keeps this from slamming into metal. So handy to have. You know what? This is also a good thing to keep in your toolbox because they're very commonly missing.
Someone asked, will you do the WPC style flippers in this game?
I'm going to, yes. So there are, I've talked about this before, right, when we did it on roller games. There's a few things you need to be conscious of while you're doing that. With the WPC flippers, we'll go over that once we get everything back together. I want to keep my easily distractible brain on track here. We're going to get the coil retaining brackets. We're going to put this into the base plate. This is what holds the coil in place. The screws that attach these are just number 6 SEMS screws, number 6 by 1/4 inch, I think. A SEMS screw, S-E-M-S, it's an industry name, but it's got this captive lock washer. This is a very, very common pinball piece of hardware. I rarely ever at all keep any other screw in my toolbox that isn't a SEM screw, just because they are used so commonly. All right. There is a little bit of wiggle room when you're installing these, but not enough. I guess you kind of can screw up. So if you really want to be thorough when installing the coil retaining bracket, I'm going to go get a part really quick. I'm going to grab a flipper coil from my parts box here.
Oh, cool.
We'll grab this one. What you can kind of do is grab a flipper coil, grab a coil stop, insert the flipper coil, insert the coil stop, and this will kind of allow you to, get this thing without having the coil retaining bracket cattywampus or cockeyed at all. So
you're just using this coil as a reference to keep it straight?
Yeah, just as something to help me keep it straight while I'm tightening it down.
That's not the actual coil you're going to be using, though?
No. That's just one from my toolbox. We'll do this guy too.
Dalton has a love-hate relationship with Jungle Lord. You just need to practice more, Dalton.
Yeah, just get better at pinball, man. Jungle Lord is kind of a jerk. It is a rough game, but it's so funny. It's such a silly game. I love it. I'm excited to bring it home one day.
Yeah, I'm excited for us to be able to turn it on and hear some of those silly call-outs and stuff.
Well, if it didn't break the first day we were supposed to be filming it, I repaired the power supply, and the only thing I have left to do is repair the little the connector that goes onto the power supply. So once that's all done, this thing should sing like a song.
Nice. Roller Pinball said, I see those same screws used a lot on plastics. Don't they make cracking plastics easier?
Not really. I don't think any screw is going to make, okay.
Just don't tighten it too
This
hard?
is experience talking, not like any knowledge talking, but any screw is going to crack your plastic, right? The thing is with that lock washer, it's going to, those little fingers are going to bite, and it's going to not allow that screw to back itself off. Generally, these screws are, you generally would use these screws on a metal-to-metal contact, right? the screws bite into the metal. It's something that has high vibration and will allow it to, or try to keep it in place, if that makes sense. A lot of the times plastics will use a washer head screw, which is I mean, I have a bazillion screws here, but not a washer head. A washer head would be very similar without this captive lock washer on it, but it would have a very wide head. So it would be a standard screw head, but with a little lip that was maybe a 32nd or so wide. So a washer head screw, that's more commonly used on the top end for those sorts of things, but generally a plastic is held down with a nut or a wood screw, so, which is generally a pan head or a washer head screw. So, I think the next step here is we'll install some end of stroke switches really quick. I always need to double check I have these oriented the correct way. And actually, I'm very sure that this is the correct way, but let's double check. Yes. The long end of the switch is going to face outside. This is what the flipper pawl is going to come and activate to open the switch. So
that's an end of stroke switch normally closed, right?
Not only is it normally closed, it is a big fat tungsten coated switch. So these are the kinds of switches you need when you have a, let's call it again like a mechanical brake flipper system. So basically everything before RoboCop. Data East was the first company to have solid state flippers. Addams Family by Williams was the first game to have a solid state flipper, which did not require these big chunky contacts to be closed to complete a circuit. When these are big tungsten coated chunky contacts because when these open and close, they arc. So this hard tungsten coating on the outside preserves the surface of the switch a little bit better. So when it starts to arc and it starts to get nasty, they just last a lot longer. You'll notice on older games, or newer games, like the System 11 era, they put a big capacitor across the leads of these switches also, which then would reduce the amount of arc going through these switches, which kept them alive a bit longer.
Nice. That would be a really cool 1,000 frames per second.
Oh, man. Yeah, let's do that. That's a great idea.
That and the soldering. Did you see the soldering video I posted on the Marco Facebook?
Oh, the welding?
Oh, yeah, the welding. But we can do it with soldering.
That was really neat.
On like board, it would be really cool. Get a shot like that. Soldering a pinball machine in slow-mo. So
let's see. So when you assemble these guys, think about how this goes together, right? And the order you're going to want to put these screws in. You can assemble flippers a couple different ways, and they will all work. But there are a couple wrong ways to assemble these things. And this is one of the things you're going to want to keep an eye out for, right? Let's pretend this is all together. Now, when we install our end of stroke switch, right, which goes here, we could put the screws through the side my thumb is on or the side my pointer finger is on. But only one of those ways will allow us to service this switch without taking the whole dang thing apart, right? So if we put the screws through, if we put the screws in through this side where my thumb is, there's no way we'd be able to get a screwdriver through here to take this off to ever service it, right? So we're going to want to put our screws through the outside facing side, which will allow us to hit it with a screwdriver, which means we can still service it with the whole thing assembled, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I see a gigantic wall of text on the chat screen right now. I'm very curious what that says.
Well, Mr. Valansky is here, and he always has great notes for us. Let's see. He says, I used to maintain an original Medieval Madness on location, and flipper bushings with the same bracket would break all the time. Because of the lock nuts, it used to feel like replacing them was a huge job. With the right tools, a long magnetic hex driver, and a nice long T-handled Allen wrench, this turned into quick work. I probably was way more slowed down by having to fill stripped wood holes.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's talk about that. This is, we're going to keep on with our rating system thing here.
Oh, yeah.
Everything you're doing when you're swapping these flipper mechanism, base plates, all of this stuff out, this is all very low difficulty stuff. I mean, this is like a 1, right? You are screwing things together. But the entire process and all of these things working in conjunction, there are a lot of places where you can screw up, which I would say that this is a pretty advanced thing. I see it on the Facebook pinball repair group all the time. I just replaced all this stuff and now my flipper doesn't work. What's wrong? Well, it's definitely something you did, right? So you need to go back and take a look at all of this stuff and see where you may have made a mistake. There's a lot of chances for you to do things wrong, which I think does make this a little bit more of an advanced
you just have to be careful,
thing.
Right?
Well, yeah, just take your time, right? And watch and look and think about what you're doing every step of the way. It's easy to screw this stuff up.
Daniel had a cool note saying, this contact on EOS switch are the same as the contact or points on old car or motorcycle ignitions they used back in the days.
Yep.
Do you know that, Kyle?
I did.
You used to work with motorcycles, right?
All the time.
And did you have to work with EOS switches on them? Or
well,
kind
of. I think the thing that got me really, or I think made me very apt with pinball was because nobody else wanted to understand how electronics worked on motorcycles. So I did. And I did not find it very difficult. So, yeah, no, it's similar, right? On an old car, instead of having a computer controlling when the spark plugs would go, there would be a plate that would spin around and arc contacts like this to send sparks to every single spark plug. That's very simplifying it, but
that would be a cool slow-mo video too.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it would be.
I just want to film.
The piece of hardware that attaches the end of stroke switch is this little like twin, I guess like Williams called it like a twin nut plate.
Oh wow.
So it's like this stamped piece of metal with these two little, you've got like half circles cut out of these two like stamped little guys, and it accepts a like a sheet metal screw like this. These are a number 5 screw, I believe. So when you tighten it through, right, they're big enough for the thick threads of a sheet metal screw to catch and tighten down. They're also convex like this because when they tighten up, it flattens out and creates a really good seal. So, or not a seal, but just it gets tight. And that is why you can service these things with them in place like this, right? Because when you have to go put this back on, you just kind of have to pop this twin nut plate in with your finger and screw the screws in. So.
No, Ragrock said, difficulty level 1, me, literally don't understand words of most parts. I'm right there with you. It's learning. The more we see Kyle do it, the more we'll start retaining this information and be able to do it on our own too, right?
Yeah, no, well, that's the thing, right? It's like you learn so much through osmosis. The guy I used to work for, Chris Kuntz, the pinball pirate, I really miss being with him every day because I learned so much just listening to him talk, right? It's I love spending time with people that are way smarter than I am because you learn whether you like it or not, right? Same thing with TJ. Why I'm here. You know, same thing with David.
It's great having TJ on the show. Yeah, it would be awesome to get David Volansky on the show, not just in the chat, but you know, maybe sitting right next to me, right here.
Absolutely. Yeah, listening to David talk about electromechanical games is just, you know, I learned so much just listening to him talk. Whether it's in person when we're at the Pinball Museum in Alameda, or it's in, you know, his the EM repair clinic. So.
Yeah,
so I appreciate all y'all sticking around and listening to me ramble, because maybe someone's learning something.
No, we are. We're all learning here. This is great.
So all here is
the yellow flipper bat.
Yep, yellow is stock for this game, or the right color, so kind of fun.
One thing I learned with the part numbers today, for Williams, it's the 6, right? The end of the part number for the flipper bats, if it's a 6, then it's a yellow flipper bat. If it's a 5, it's a white flipper bat.
Yeah. So Williams, all of their parts were the suffix at the end, the last dash number would indicate the color. So if you had like a post that was ended in -6, it would be a yellow post. A -5 would be a white post. A -1 would be a red post. And then some of the numbers that I got above that, or they had different numbers for translucent posts and stuff like that. So.
What's -2?
Blue? I don't know. I don't remember all this stuff off the top of my head. I have so much stuff I need to remember, I forget a lot of things. I'm going to put these springs on the stake side here where the end of stroke switch is attached. Don't be a monster and really deform your springs when you're trying to do this. Open it up a little bit, get it to expose a little bit of that end piece, and then what I like to do here is you can kind of put it in at a really weird angle, like start it at like a 2 o'clock and then try to wrap it around into the hole. I'm not going to be able to show this on camera, but it's not hard to do. I'll try to get it on camera.
What hole you're wrapping it around? It's hard to tell where the spring is actually latching onto.
This guy right by my fingernail.
Just right above the screw. Okay.
So we can start it like this, kind of grab the spring a little bit and spread it out without trying to stretch it out too much. And then try to get it to snake around the hole like that. So now it's still like there's no way it could snake its way out if we didn't blow out the hole or the final loop, you know, and it will be able to attach to the.
Can you still kind of pinch it down though?
You can, but you know, if you do it right, you won't need to, right? So we are using. What's up?
-4 is red.
-4 is red. I think -1 is blue. Steve knows all of them by heart, I'm sure.
How'd you know it was him saying something?
So we are going to use the late style Williams flipper parts. This game did originally have a compression spring. So it had the Christmas tree shaped spring that would ride along this link here. And when this thing would flip and compress, the spring would then push it outwards, which is the outward force comes opposite of the compression, right? Where these are expansion springs. When they expand, the retracting force is after they expand. The reason why this kind of matters, and you just need to know what's going on, right? There is 50 volts running across this switch. Okay? So what that means, right, is if this did not have any insulative material on it, and this guy, let's get it in here kind of, when this guy goes here, right, to break the end of stroke switch, there is now 50 volts running through here to here. And that can just get precarious, right? If there is something touching the flipper base, there are many reasons why you just need to be conscious of this. When we had the original style expansion spring here, or compression spring, this would still get 50 volts, but this is the problem, right? When this little spring is flopping around doing things, just be conscious of it, right? That there are things you want to make sure that it's not touching things and creating shorts and causing problems. I always just want to have people remember that because once this becomes live from touching this whole thing is now live, which means this is live, and if things are touching this, it's also touching this, and it can be problematic. So just remember, be careful. Always have some heat shrink tubing on hand to insulate your flipper cranks.
Can you bring that down a little bit? And I don't remember what episode it was, but you showed us a flipper crank or that didn't have that black heat shrink tube on it, and you actually put it on.
I always do, just to make sure that can never happen. The big issue that can happen is in some games, especially older games, the way that the game could tell how to do a lane change, right? So think about, you've got your rollovers at the top, and when you hit the flipper button, the lit one goes from one to another. And what can happen is you'll have another switch that is on the back side of the end of stroke switch, right? So you've got 50 volts here, and then you've kind of got the other switch insulated somehow. But if you suddenly make the entire flipper base live, there is a possibility that you could have 50 volts going into your switch matrix and blow all sorts of crap up. So just be conscious, right? Just make sure you know and you're conscious of how these things are working and where the voltage is and where it isn't. So I'm going to stop ranting now. But anyways, let's put this thing together. That's more fun than me ranting, right?
Yeah, it's great. I want to see where the spring goes.
Oh, the spring just attaches to the flipper crank here. So once we have this all together, come on. The spring then attaches to this little ear.
I almost sneezed.
And that's what resets this thing after it flips. So it's easier to do once it's all together though, so let's go put it together. Oh, but you know what? Before we bring it over there, I'm going to put just a dip of solder on the end of stroke switch tangs here. So it's going to be a little bit easier to solder the end of stroke wires onto these switches since we're using all new switches. Why not, right?
Cool.
Extra cool. Where's my solder? There it is.
Can you tilt the handheld camera down a little bit too so we can watch?
Where's the end?
Kyle
there it is.
Rants. Yeah, Kyle loves ranting about beer. That's what the chat's saying.
Beer, music, pinball.
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Video games.
Yeah.
Other things. All right, let's get this. We're just putting a little dab of solder on here. It'll just make it so much easier once we go to, while everything's hanging, right? It's really hard to solder when when gravity is working against you. So everything we can do to make it quicker and easier will get us ahead in the long run.
Nice. I know. I just summoned Colin. I said bear.
Beer.
Like, wow, bears in the jungle.
I'm glad I had a very, very sore arm yesterday. I got my first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine the other day. And I was like, man, I can't lift my arm like above my shoulder. How am I going to do this on Thursday? But we're good now. Aww. Okay, let's switch over to the other camera. And maybe I'll...
What type of solder do you recommend?
Good solder. I really... You're going to get a weird view of my chin. Actually, that's terrible. I don't want you to look at my triple chin. I use Kester solder almost exclusively, or MG Chemicals. Those are the two that I like. I used to be able to get the MG Chemicals stuff at Fry's Electronics, which no longer exists, and also does not exist in South Carolina. But I'll usually try to get Kester solder. I like using, this is the small stuff I don't like using as much. This is a 22 gauge. I usually like using 20 gauge. That's like a really good all-around solder for me. I can use it to work on boards, and it's not like so small that it makes like soldering onto a coil lug like super tedious. But I do like to keep this 22 gauge stuff around when working on like really small boards, like those White Star boards, or when I'm working on a video game circuit board or something. So
nice.
But yeah, good solder. This is 2.2% flux. It's 6337. So 37 lead, 63 silver, right? Which means that all of y'all in Europe can't use it. Leadless solder is good too, but I don't know. Just make sure you wash your hands because lead will make you die. So
yes, and don't breathe it in.
Yeah, and don't breathe it in. Just be careful.
And don't get any in your eye. Wear eye protection.
Yeah, wear glasses. Let's snake this guy in here.
This is a cool shot.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's my hand. That's what we're working on. Okay, cool. Let's see. I need a nut driver. And I need to reach in here and get all the screws that TJ and I just destroyed this game together, ripping it apart hella fast.
Oh. Remember when we had TJ on the show and then he just like walked up to your toolbox and just started opening it and you were like, get out of my drawers?
No, with basically 100% of other people,
funny.
I would be like tripping out and saying like, go away. But TJ, that's totally fine.
I know, it was just cute. He was like, oh, I'm going to start looking in all your drawers.
Well, it's funny because Chris, the guy I used to work for, and TJ now during the pandemic, right? My buddy TJ is a full-time operator, right? He's got a bunch of locations, lots of big arcades, and he operates a good amount of pinball still. But Chris had me set up that parts box, and I've been working out of that parts box for like 6 years. So when I moved, I had to set up a parts box exactly like that because I'm so familiar with it. And TJ just thought it was hilarious that, you know, now he's working for Chris. He's using my old parts box. And he's like, you set it up exactly the same. It's like, yup.
It's awesome.
You just have like muscle
we
memory.
missed the Marco After Hours. We need to bring that back. It'll come back soon.
Yeah.
Dalton's asking for it.
I know, everyone's asking for it. I feel so bad. We'll do some streaming on Saturday night. I say that now, but I think Saturday night will be a good night for me to do that.
Slurm.
Or tomorrow night. I don't know. We have we'll be playing X-Files, my favorite awful pinball machine.
Yeah, sounds good.
I always like to double check like after I've driven the screw all the way in, just to make sure it's like, did I make a hole in the playfield? No, it's fine.
Yeah, that would be terrible. I thought it was this one.
I've done it once, but I was really lucky that it was like somewhere, and I caught it like right when it was happening, that it wasn't like a big deal. It was like behind something. It was in like a weird lane on a dog soccer somewhere. I felt really bad, but it worked out okay. Whoa, what's this? Whoa. Pinball Shop. 27693 Butternut Ridge Road, North Olmsted, Ohio. Date of repair 11/28/2012. Williams, Jungle Lorbed, Flipper inoperable. This guy paid $580. Oh.
And look at you. You're fixing it now for us. Finally.
Upper left flipper coil, lamp PIA. Replace lamp connector. Replace lamp PIA on driver board. Flipper wiring corrected. Replaced 4069 display IC on master driver. Replaced several bulbs. 6 hours to do all that? Jeez. Alex Sheen. That guy took a long time.
And you called out his name? That's got to be a violation of privacy. Hey, so David said, when you get to the soldering on the wires, comment on the mechanical wiring contact or not. The wire through the hold and bent or even wrapped. You know what? I was literally going to ask him that question when he got to that point too. Because I always wonder. He says, I hate it. It makes more maintenance and harder, but also makes cold solder joints intermittent instead of just broken. Oh, so you're saying don't stick it through the hole and bend it in?
I don't usually do that.
Because that's what I was going to ask. Do I need to
I don't know. I think, I mean, that's like really, that's really personal preference, honestly. This thing was missing a ton of hardware, so I'm going into my hex head screw box to try to find some number 6 by half-inch sheet metal screws, which I think...
She says, yeah, it's personal preference, sure, but what David's saying is it makes the maintenance harder.
It does, because...
And also makes cold solder joints, which makes sense.
It can, but I guess it can also... I mean, like, maybe if you argue it, like, the opposite way, it might also prevent or it might make a cold solder joint, like, less effective, or less annoying, I guess, in the sense of, like, if you did have a bad solder joint, you'd still have, like, some sort of mechanical connection from the wire to the switch, but it makes maintenance more difficult because... Let's use visuals here really quick. Crap, I can't. Anyways, if you have here, like just for giggles, it's not right, but
that's
here,
awesome, Dalton.
imagine, okay, so what we're talking about here is the difference between soldering the wire, to the piece of metal, or sticking the wire through the hole and wrapping it around and then soldering it. The reason why soldering it to the piece of metal I feel is the better way is because it will end up being a stronger connection in the long run. The reason we're talking about it making maintenance more difficult is, soldering is kind of like welding, right? You're melting this molten metal around to keep this wire in place. If you needed to get this wire back out at some point, you have to get this thing, red hot and then try to untwist the wire, which is going to make solder splash, or it's just harder.
It's
right?
Messy.
So if you can solder well, the right way to do it is to get solder on here, solder on the wire, and stick them together, let it harden up, and you're good to go. That's what we're talking about.
It looks like the hole is so big, though.
That's
stick the wire in and wrap it around.
It's a lot smaller on this, but I mean, like, let's use a coil, for example, right? A lot of people will try to take these big, chunky 18-gauge wires or whatnot and shove all of the wire strands through these teeny holes on the lug.
Oh, yeah. And you should just lay it on top. Then.
You should lay it on top. They both need to be hot. The solder will encapsulate the whole thing, harden up, and it's good to go. It makes it a lot more difficult to maintain when you do it the other way.
Nice.
So there's not like a right or wrong way, right? If you just redid your whole pinball machine, you're like, oh man, Kyle just told me I did it wrong. It's like, that's fine. It's just you're going to get grumpy when you go to have to maybe resolder something on or something like that.
Can you explain what y'all mean by cold solder and cold soldering joints?
Yeah, a cold solder joint is like, right, what I said about you have to get both things hot. If something is hot and it's shiny and clean and it has flux on it, solder is going to stick to it. So a cold solder joint would be like if the wire was piping hot, but the switch or the coil lug was not, the solder is not going to effectively attach itself to what you're trying to weld together, if that makes sense, right? So remember we look at cracked pins all the time on circuit boards and stuff. That's essentially a cold solder joint. It ain't good. It's bad.
So it looks like it's connected, but it's actually not.
You wouldn't be able to tell without magnification a lot of the time, but yes.
You would be able to tell because it wouldn't work right.
Yeah, well, if you know what you're looking for, then yeah, you'd be able to tell because it ain't working right. But that can baffle people because it's like, oh, it looks like it's connected, but it's not. So why isn't it working? Well, you got to check there. Okay, let's take a look-see. This looks like crap.
Those are great tips, David. Awesome, thank you.
This looks like really bad, like extra bad. Like I'm thinking I'm gonna snip the wires and just redo it because it sucks. And look, someone looped the wire through this coil here, which is bad form, right?
Oh, yeah.
So here's case in freaking point.
Bad.
So what I need to do now is I need to melt this solder and then I need to pull this wire out of the hole, right? So what that's gonna do is it's gonna cause solder to go and splash away and stuff like that. It just makes it more difficult. If the wire was just soldered straight to the lug, I'd heat it up and disconnect it from the lug, right? This looks bad, especially on a flipper coil, right? If your flipper coil looks this crappy, go redo it.
It looks like it's wrapped around a lot.
Look at this, right? Like look at the center, look at the center lug. Look how many frayed wires you have. I mean, that's a cold solder joint. Look at this.
That looks like I did it.
That looks like crap.
Oh, no.
And see, this is the frustrating thing, right? Dude paid, a long time ago, he paid a bunch of money to have someone come out and fix his game. And they did this, right? Which looks great. They did a good job. But a bad tech will leave this.
Instead of fixing it while you're there, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the thing that frustrates me is, my time is money and I don't want to have to go back out to someone's game to fix it. I'd rather just fix it all at one time, have them be happy, and then in a year they call me to do some maintenance or something. That is frustrating. But you see that a lot on games that are, haven't been loved in someone's collection for a super long time, or, someone just maybe doesn't pay as much attention to detail. And I think that's where it really comes down to, So kind of throwing shade,
For sure. Thank you guys also for posting all those tips in the chat too. That's super helpful and awesome.
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the dang thing together, and we are going to work on the coil while it's in the assembly itself, right? It's a little easier because the coil is going to be held in place. Put this flipper through here to hold the crank. I guess we might as well get this guy. Which side has the opening? God, my eyes are so bad. Another pro tip, don't hire a blind pinball fixie guy like me. He'll miss everything.
One of those monocles, like the jeweler's loop just attached to your eye.
Yeah, I just need to get new glasses.
Here for the tea, Ragbot.
Okay, so so what we're going to do too is we're going to, if we have enough wire, which it looks like we definitely do, we're going to mount the, what is the tight point here? This brown wire is a little tight, but we'll loosen it up. We always want to try to flip these around if we can. Again, to get the diode away from the coil stop. Williams found that placing the lug end of the bobbin opposite the side of the coil stop would keep these diodes from breaking and melting flipper coils, etc., blowing fuses and causing problems. So when you have the wire space and if you have the time, it's always a good thing to do. And we'll make it work here.
Nice.
This is something that, on a normal service call, you probably wouldn't want to do. Maybe, unless you really had the time or something like that, just because in some instances it can take a lot of time. If a game is ever going on location, or if it's going, if it lives on location, or you're planning to put it on location, that's something you definitely want to do. But, a game that's sitting in someone's living room that they play every once in a while, it'll last a really long time, maybe forever. I just like to always think about things in worst case scenario sort of, reasonings. I don't want to have to go do a dumb service call on my games. I'm so happy that none of the games I've put out on location have had any issues. Actually, now they're all going to break. I just jinxed the heck out of myself.
Oh no, knock on wood.
But Roller Games, man, Roller Games is earning some good cash. Hasn't had any problems really, so I'm gonna beat those superstitions. Nothing's gonna happen. We'll be all good. I'm gonna move the camera away so I could fit the screwdriver in here. So we're just we're attaching the coil stop now. Don't torque one down super heavy. Get one nice and snug. Get the other side snug.
I knocked down my forest.
And then really use your He-Man strength. Those need to be nice and tight. You don't want to shear anything off. Okay, so what do we got here? We have to redo all this because it looks like junk. I guess I'll do this on camera. It's kind of boring. Maybe I don't need to do it on camera. Look at that. God, that is so...
Yeah, we want to see the full process, I think. Right?
That is so bad. I bet if I wiggled this enough, it would just come off.
Oh my gosh, stop. I don't like that.
Well, it's not breaking, but it just looks bad. Losing points on aesthetics. Let's be vain.
Yeah, let's fix it. All right.
I'm debating if I want to cut. I don't think, even though it's going to suck, I'm not going to cut the side that's all wrapped around. I'm curious, did David chime in and agree with my reasonings also? Did we kind of have the same vision on why we don't wrap wires around the lugs of switches and stuff?
Yes, absolutely. And then he also said the exception is when a lug is getting 3 to 4 wires, and I may put one through the hole just to hold it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe give it a 90-degree bend, but no more and no wrap.
That's where it gets really difficult, is when you have to, wire 2 or 3, 4 wires to a single lug, and that becomes a pain. This solder is very old. It is not melty. I added some solder to the tip of my iron here. Let's try to get a better angle without making it more difficult for me.
You could maybe come around from the other side?
It would be right in my line of sight. I don't want y'all staring at my face. I'm just going to try to warm this all up. You do have to be careful.
It would be like a dentist. We want to look into your eyes while you fix our coil.
So see where we are now? We've got it loose enough, and it can move. Well, it did for a second. But now we have to unwrap this wire somehow. Sometimes I'll use like the tip of the iron to try to fray it out.
Oh yeah, I totally see now why you guys are saying don't wrap it in.
Don't do this.
It just looks dangerous.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing, is you're gonna get I'm gonna get a mouthful of solder if I don't stop talking. So.
Shatter.
Okay, there it goes.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna give me a heart attack.
Do I get hazard pay for doing this show?
No, that's why you need to be careful.
Also be careful holding your iron on these lugs for a really long time, right? This is nylon, and this is metal, and this gets hot, and when this gets really hot, it starts to get loose in the nylon, and it could melt its way out and pop off. So
I've seen it.
It's coil carnage.
The Wisp says, clip the lead, Kyle.
I would, but this one looks okay. These ones, I think I'm going to clip, because this is just a mess. But the problem is then I have to go in and clean the coil up, which is just as annoying.
Yeah, and
I'm going to see what I can do.
Unwrap tip, melt the solder and wiggle wire while it cools.
Yes, yeah, definitely, because then you're not going to get a boiling hot ball of solder in your face.
This is a really cool shot, though. Ooh, don't stab yourself with the hot gun.
I don't think I have a lot of nerves in my fingertips anymore, so only sometimes. That one's gonna come apart. You know what? Let's, for the sake of being good, let's do it one at a time also, so I don't have to pull out a manual and be like, wait, which wire goes where?
Label them.
This one, I'm gonna cut this off. That's gross. It's full of impurities and nastiness. It's going to be a lot easier and be cleaner if we can clip it. So let's just clip it. I'm also going to clip the zip tie that's kind of holding these in the harness. It does look like these wires are coming from like this direction. Maybe, I'm hoping. So if I cut this cable tie, I might be able to get a few more millimeters of space out of this and not have them be so stretchy. Be very careful when you do this. Don't just shove them in and maybe snip some wires or expose some insulation. Just kind of weaken the zip tie. Make sure you can see, one half of the tie where you're snipping. I will probably wrap that back up, but yeah, see, look at that, right? We were able to clip.
Why are they so tangled together?
I don't know. That's just how they made these harnesses. But now look at how much more slack we have, which is nicer. So I'm going to zip tie that back up just so I don't forget. Harness dressing is my favorite thing because I'm a gigantic nerd.
Luckily he has glasses on. It's dangerous.
I used to really like rebuilding wiring harnesses for custom motorcycles and stuff when I worked at a bike shop. Get that nice and tight. And when you cut zip ties, cut them flush, right? This is called a flush cutter for a reason. You can get the back end flat against the head of the zip tie and cut it nice and flush. And then you don't have a big, sharp, evil thing that wants to slice your wrist when you rub against it wrong.
For sure. Good tip.
These are Kyle's neuroses coming out now.
No, it's great. It's little things that you don't really think of.
That's the thing, is like, I'm always trying to think, it's like, what are the dumb things going through my brain that people might want to hear? Because I think that's where you really learn, right? The practical things, like how to fix this stuff, is pretty straightforward, but learning the weird things that people do to make things easier are really the pro tips,
Yeah, and Duisp, you're totally right. Glasses are not protective enough for splash hazards.
No,
and
they're
Kyle
not.
should be wearing goggles and have a fan on, maybe a mask.
But what's the fun in that?
So
I'm just kidding.
When you guys are doing this at home, please take the proper safety precautions.
I don't like that big ball of solder I just put on this wire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my needle nosers. I'm going to hold this thing and see if I can get this solder to kind of work its way into the wire a little bit, but without damaging and melting the sheathing. That actually soaked in kind of okay. I can't see what I'm doing. I barely have enough room with my soldering iron. Where do I need to put this?
Yeah, and not getting lead poisonings.
Not getting what?
Don't get lead poisoning.
Yeah. Can't eat and do this at the same time, which is sad. Careful where you grab your beer. When I solder these on, I try to keep them in line, right? It's cleaner when they come up and out instead of all cattywampus and every which angle. Sometimes it is handy to grab these things with your pliers, even though it does kind of make the sheathing look ugly. At least it doesn't burn the heck out of your fingers. I'm going to get the lug hot. I'm going to get this hot, watch the solder get melty, and then I'm going to kind of press them together. That will allow us to get a good solder joint without keeping too much heat on, right? Because we kind of preheated both sides. So it makes it easier for them to melt together.
And so you're just holding it there until it dries up, basically?
Yeah. So there is an issue, again, with you have to be careful when using needle noses. I probably can't get this on the camera, but since this is all super compromised, right? Someone with the wrong tools or the not enough skill worked on this bit here, and it's really screwed up this sheathing. This was already very soft, but where I was grabbing these with my pliers, I have melted away the sheathing enough where I can actually see a strand of wire right there.
Oh no. Why do you do that?
It's not the end of the world, but again, that's where weird shorts start to happen. I am going to address that with evil electrical tape. The way you should fix this is unsolder it, put some heat shrink tube it, and put it back on. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to use electrical tape because that's against every fiber in my body.
Yeah, don't show bad etiquette.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
It takes 1 second to undo. Just like taking the drop target bank off last time. It ended up being such a dream to do it without...
Oh, yeah, Kyle would put a towel down before where you're dripping the solder.
Absolutely, that is a good tip.
He has put the towel down before in other installs. He does not have a towel right now, so maybe you should do that too.
I'm feeling extra ballsy right now. Yes, no, that is a good idea, and let's continue showing best practices. I will put a towel down. I need to find a sacrificial towel, though. All the towels I have in here right now are my novice towels. I'm going to add a little bit more fresh solder here since we're blessed with the opportunity to do so. Hot and melty.
So you're going to reconnect it before you do the heat shrinking fitting?
Well, just in case I need to grab it with the pliers again, but ow.
You do it the second time.
And then you could get in here with the shaft of your...
Don't move it.
Try to get it to cinch.
And it needs to be nice and tight?
Yes, ideally it needs to be nice and tight. If not, it just needs to be snug so it's not going to move, right?
Okay.
Well, there you go. That's the right way to fix it. So
it's
good
got
job.
A little cast. Oh my gosh.
What?
You should not read the chat.
Why? You've piqued my interest. Now you need to tell me what's going on.
I know. David said he's had to clean up after your dripped solder before.
Sucker. Was it at the museum where we're forced to work so fast under the whip of Michael Shees? No, I'm just kidding. It can be a problem. I mean, even clipping wires, right? Like if you have you can have a nightmare scenario where you clip a wire and a strand of wire jumps down and gets stuck in between the these two bits of the lamp socket, and you'll never, ever, 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 ever figure out why your light fuse is blowing, right? It's because this evil little strand of wire is now lodged in there, and you wouldn't ever see it. So you always need to be extra careful when you're doing any of this kind of stuff.
Go slow.
Which wire is this?
As much as you can.
Let's really pull that. I could even take that out. There'll be enough. That'll be fine.
Oh, Sony. Why do you do this to me?
Whew. I'm being a bad person today. I don't think I've had a single sip of water, and my voice is getting hoarse. Coffee is basically water, right? Coffee's hydrating.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. The best way to clean this up is we are going to try to melt this out. Yes, I am using my my waist to keep the soldering iron pinned against the pinball machine. This is not an ideal work situation, but I'm making do. I'm going to try to get this guy out. Now we have to deal with this. So, your first inclination may be to grab it with your fingers. The best thing for you to do is not touch things that are piping hot. Use your worn out, nasty pair of flush cutters to grab this stuff and pull it out of the coil lug.
That's just what Daniel said. Don't burn yourself.
Blech. Throw that away from the game and not anywhere near where it will cause a problem. I can't see the top side of the lug, but it looks okay. Let's get this dressed, right? We'll get some nice solder. And this is where you guys get to watch me flounder and flail trying to get two wires to attach to one thing. So we've got a nicely stripped side of the wire here. I am going to tin it. We are going to tin the tip of the iron, get the wire nice and hot, and see if the solder will start to melt. Nope, it's pooling. Oh, I said I was going to put a towel down, didn't I?
Yes, you did. You're freaking out everyone in the chat right now, Kyle.
Well, now you're just seeing how good I am.
So if you're watching this, please look at our chat box for more awesome tips from other pinball technicians.
Where's a towel? Basically do everything that I'm not doing.
Safety tips. Yeah.
There we go. Look at that. Now we have a safe working environment. So
that's awesome.
What we're going to do here is I'm going to try to get this to look nice. I'm going to try to group it up, solder it, and tin it. And we're going to try to get these together. And then we will use a tool to then go in and hold them while we try to solder them on at the same time. That is going to be the most effective way to get these guys on there nicely, since unfortunately humans only have two hands. If you're ever
two wires go on the one lug?
Yeah.
I missed that. Oh, that's crazy.
I want to snip the end because it's too long, right? I kind of want the insulation to terminate just at the end of the lug here, right? So if you're ever doing this, right, cut it, but hold the end. Don't let those evil little strands of wires fly everywhere. I keep mentioning this because it has been a problem in the past, and I want you to not have to spend 4 hours looking for a shorted lamp socket. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to tin this. I know that it's really messy. We've got a terrible background, but I'm keeping the wire hot, and I'm just trying to see if the solder will melt onto the wire. It's nice and shiny. That's going to be good. I almost got a drip there. Maybe you saw that. What we can try to do now is get these guys to kind of, what we might try to do is we'll get these guys to melt together, and then we could try to place them on the lug at the same time. This is an exercise in frustration. I feel slightly humbled. We have one of our viewers, he emails me sometimes, and he said that he was having a lot of trouble crimping connectors, and he's like, you made it look so easy. And I had to think, and it just, I mean, yes, some of this stuff is hard, and it takes like a weird bit of dexterity, especially this. I struggle with this all the time still. This is awful. It's annoying. But, okay, actually, it's all in the prep work, too.
Can you tilt up on the green with your third hand? Look at that guy.
And don't be afraid to drop your soldering iron on your face.
No.
I've become fearless around my iron.
Oh my gosh.
So something like this, right? We could get this guy.
You soldered the two together.
Yeah, they're kind of together now. But again, though, if we're not holding them, as soon as we heat them up, they're gonna want to pop apart. So I'm gonna hold them with my needle nose pliers, and we're going to try to place them. There's a bit of a blob on the top of the lug, which I could see if I was like 7'8", but not as tall as I am now. It's okay. I think it'll be fine.
Different angle?
I need to be working at a different angle, but I want to keep the camera in the good spot.
I mean, we could go. I think the camera can be moved over too, so we can see the top of the lug. You might have to move the whole stand. If you push the stand back a little. Yes. Yeah. Ooh.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, it's okay if we see a little bit of your face. Let me.
Nah, man, I look weird.
What is happening? Oh my gosh. Yeah, back it up a little bit. Ooh, it's like we're looking through a microscope. All right.
Wait, this needs to be here.
No, where are you taking us?
That needs to be here. Is that okay?
It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, minus this stupid brown wire. Oh, that's okay. That's the wire you're working with. Never mind. Yeah, this is great.
Great.
Now we see the diode. We see the top of the lug.
Right, we've got solder here. It's not melting. There it goes. I'm gonna spread that blob out a little.
I'm always like going closer and closer to my monitor to see.
This is really always all in the prep work, right? Like, the more you can get this stuff right before you start doing it, the less struggle you'll have. Hence, tinning the wires and stripping them the right way, and getting the lug nice and ready to go, heating the lug and then the wire and then putting them together. It makes you have better success, right? So I'm going to get that hot.
Yeah, Captain Retro, thanks for joining us, said, I'm a fan of crimp then solder.
Crimp and solder is a great way to do it, too.
Get it. I'm like trying to look under the wire. And then you just hold it there.
Because right now here's the thing, right? If we didn't have a decent amount of solder on the wires, if we didn't have a decent amount of solder on the lug, we'd need to go back in and add solder, which we might, right? I'm going to go onto the other side of the game right now and take a look-see. But
looks good,
as soon as you heat it up again, it's going to want to pop off. Yeah, it looks okay. That's actually not that bad for me not watching what I'm doing. I'm actually kind of proud of that. All right, good.
It almost looks better than the top wire.
Yeah, the top wire looks like poop. This looks like crap. Look at that.
Yeah,
that's
that
awful.
Looks scary.
And this is what happens when someone sits
like
and holds the iron on for way too long, right? You start just destroying the insulation, and that's awful. This one, thankfully, we've got a ton of room with, so I could snip it here, and hopefully it'll look clean once we're done. So.
Have you ever accidentally, had your solder iron hit the top of the diode and mess up the diode because it burned it or something?
No, you really can't screw up the diodes too much unless you break the lead or you accidentally unsolder the lead. But Thankfully, no. I've held my soldering iron in a weird spot and melted wires above it. When you're target focused on what you're doing,
thanks
right?
for the resubscribe, Roller Pinball.
Wow, thank you for subscribing and resubscribing and being here.
7-month streak. That's almost as old as we are.
Really? Wait, who did that?
Roller Pinball.
Yeah, he's the best. He's been around. They've been around for a long time. Okay, that's not melting. We're gonna add a little solder to try to speed up the process.
No, DeWisp says cut it. It's safer so you don't get splatter. DeWisp had a sorcerer that had a solder drip that was shorting all the solenoids in the lamp matrix in a harness bundle.
God, that's terrible.
Finding. So yeah, he doesn't want you to have the same problems, man.
I remember when I was working with Chris. Chris he did everything to try to get a game to stop popping the lamp matrix fuse, to where he went down to basically starting to unsolder individual wires and stuff. And what he found was a shorted lamp socket on one. And he was like, oh, great, okay, we found a shorted lamp socket. We're like, well, we'll fix it now. We put it all back together. The kicker was the light bulb inside of that socket was also shorted. So once he put a new socket in there, he put the same light bulb back into the game, and it kept blowing the fuse. And it was very humorous to watch someone get that mad. But shorted lamp matrices are the worst. This is
no, that's not good.
Really bad.
Yeah, Roller Pinball, you were there for roller games. And when Kyle lost his tool bit, that flew out.
Oh, my drill bit? Gosh.
Oh, your drill bit, yeah.
The good old drill bit episode. Can we do some like really stupid like Grammys style, or not Grammys, what's the movie one called? Emmys? Can we do like a montage of like stupid moments throughout this show?
Oh my god.
Kyle throwing something, losing something, getting unnecessarily mad at something.
Yeah, if you find all those clips, I'll edit them together. But you have to go through literally 100 hours of footage. So.
Let's crowdsource that.
Have fun with that.
I still can't stand listening to my own voice.
I know.
Okay.
The feeling.
This might be okay. This has some impurities and is kind of nasty. And I could cut this and restrip
Doesn't it look short?
I'm gonna do it. I don't wanna. Set yourself up for success. If I have to cut another zip tie, that's better than getting frustrated that this wire isn't soldering
Don't
nicely.
You have people for that? Yeah, me. Does anyone want to do any assistant editing for me, for Marco? Let me know. Send me an email. Emoto@marcopinball.com. I was like, marcotv@marcopinball.com.
Does someone want to be my assistant? Send me an email at kyle@marcopinball.com. I want to do video editing. Can I trade departments? Can you teach me something?
No, because I would be terrible at procurement and NPI. That's your specialty.
I thought my specialty was making bad jokes. Oh, don't flick solder on carpet. That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
That looks okay. Let's see. This end, I also don't like the looks of this. I also don't think these wires are much too short, actually, to be an end of stroke wire. And I got that one so nice. So I'm going to, since this is my game, and I am the person I can get mad at, I'm actually going to extend this wire, and I am going to replace the other wire. This is one of the downsides, right, of doing this sort of a coil flippy maneuver, right? Is now there's no way.
Yeah, it's too tight to reach, right?
But since I did such an excellent job here, I am just going to now find a suitable piece of wire and butt them together. I would probably make fun of a game that I saw that did that, but since it's my game, I can make fun of myself, and I'm okay doing it, so. This is definitely a keeper. Actually, to me, all games are keepers. I don't sell games anymore, so it'll be fine. Now I can't wait for the chat to erupt and say, no, that's lazy. Don't do it.
Now, if you guys want to learn awesome pinball streaming, you just need to go to Mystery Pinball Theater 3000 stream.
Yeah.
Manu has all the secrets of the trade.
That guy's got...
I want to sit down with him and pick his brain, too. He's awesome.
Well, let's do it when we go to San Francisco.
I want to do it before then.
And then we can go to Whole Foods. We can go to Kezar's and get some pizza, and then get a tall boy of PBR at Whole Foods, and then go to Free Gold Watch.
Yay. I love Free Gold Watch.
I am off camera soldering.
No, we don't have any plans right now to go to San Francisco. It's just pipe dreams right now. Yeah, where are you soldering? It's like, I don't see it.
Off camera, so I don't have to do it like above my head, and I can actually watch what I'm doing.
I'm not sure if we're going to Pintastic. Probably not as a company, just because, we're still suffering the hits of COVID. But maybe some of us might be up there for other reasons.
I'd like to go.
I'd love to check out that show. That's a Gabe D'Annunzio's show, right?
I'll be in San Francisco as soon as I possibly humanly can. I miss all of my friends and my family, which all still lives in California. Ugh.
So now you're just adding another wire, but you didn't match the color. But
no, I don't think I'd be able to find baby blue seafoam wire, unfortunately. But like I said,
gray.
It's my game.
Baby blue?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Man, this monitor.
It's like really worn out baby blue, sort of.
I can see it. Pin Brew is happening in early April in Ohio. Really? Early April?
Jeez, that seems a little soon.
Very eclectic, Pintastic. Yeah, I'll try to go up to Pintastic.
Yeah, me too, right?
Rhett Reese says he misses the bejesus out of you.
I miss Northern California sometimes as well, a lot of the time too. But you know what? It's awfully nice down here. Tell you what. I'm gonna solder this in at like a 45 or maybe just a straight like that, and then I will try to get the other one to solder in at a similar or a backwards angle. We'll see. Addressing wires is fun, and just making sure you're not shorting, touching. It's kind of fair game. The wires should be going straight backwards, but at the same time, when we're reorienting coils, you work with whatever you can. I'm going to really quickly solder the end of stroke switch on as well. I'm going to heat up the back of the switch, heat this guy up. I don't like it.
Oh, Andrew Barney, what's up? Thanks for joining us.
Long time no see.
We miss you.
I don't like that. This isn't ideal, but it'll work.
Hey, here's a little question while you do that from Sagwito. Said, in my local arcade, some flipper bats are incredibly steep. I wonder why that is. Do they put in the wrong flipper rebuild kits, or do they do a wrong adjustment?
That is most of the time adjustment, but it also depends on when and where it is steep.
Look at these beautiful coils.
Depending on the game, right? If it's a Williams game, Williams use 2 different lengths coil stops, and sometimes if it seems a little different, it may be because they are using a different length coil stop than what that game, should be using, air quotes, should. But most of the time that's an adjustment that is incorrect. Okay, I like that. I am going to find some wire now, so give me 1 second. I might need to go cut some off of a sacrificial harness somewhere off camera, so give me a second.
So because that wire's too short to actually connect to the coil.
Yeah, the remaining wire I have. So give me 1 sec.
Awesome.
Here is the harness.
Thank you, Restream Schmidge. What? So while we wait for Kyle to find some more wiring, are there any other types of installs or repairs that you would really like to see on our show on PinTech Live? Oh, Scott Denisi. Hi.
Hey, Scott.
Thanks for joining us. We are honored by your presence.
Always honored.
So any show ideas, I always write down episode ideas in my little document. And we have, a few. So if there's anything else after watching our show for so many episodes, 47 weeks straight, basically, ish. Anything you're missing that you really want to see?
Everyone wants me to watch me play TNA really poorly.
Yeah, we've been waiting for that. Yeah, Scott just asked if you can flip the coil. He actually flipped the coil to not have the diode on the coil stop.
We're going to avoid this. It's so much extra work that is not necessary 100% for where this game is going to live, but it's going to make me feel so good when it's done that, let's just do it.
So he likes flipping them. Anytime he sees them, he'll flip them. It's like a rule of thumb with Kyle, and it's so the diode doesn't break.
Well,
it has less potential of breaking, right, from the vibrations?
And not any time. If it's in a location, right, if a game is going to be on free play, or if it's going to be in an arcade, I will flip them. But free play in a public location. If it's on free play in your living room where you play the game once a week, it does not. This is not 100% necessary. But again, most of my experience comes from working as a repair, house call kind of guy, and I don't ever want to have to come back and warranty like flipper work and stuff. It's a waste of time. You don't make a lot of money fixing pinball machines, and when you have to go back, you definitely don't make a lot of money fixing pinball machines,
And then you don't have a happy customer. Anyway.
And and it's always annoying. The worst kind of call is when you get a call from your location. They're like, "Hey, the flippers don't work," or something, right? I'd rather someone call me and give me an interesting problem. I don't like the gauge of this wire, actually. This is a 20 gauge.
Can we do a Marco After Hours with your TNA and have Scott zoom in with us?
Oh my God, please.
Help talk poorly about your...
Well, what we should do is every time I drain, I need to take a sip of delicious beer or something.
Oh, goodness. Or Scott has to. Every time you drain, Scott Denisi has to take a shot. Oh boy. That sounds dangerous.
Poaching wire, sorry. I don't even know if anyone can hear me still.
All right, Rhett Reese, do you or Kyle do cabinet refurbish? No, not so much. Sad Guido wants to see how you clean inside the cabinet. If anyone has any tips for that, it could be a good show. I don't know if Kyle will want to clean inside of a cabinet, but I'm going to write it down anyways.
That's better.
Let's see what else. APV, a shading ring is used on a relay coil. It's a metal clip shaped like a C and helps focus the magnetic energy. You don't have to install it. It comes that way. Awesome. Colin Backs. You're getting garbage on your DMD? Oh, no. Okay, when Kyle comes back, I'll ask that. Oh, yeah, Scott's down.
Huh, okay, that would be really fun. Hold on, I'm trying to find a better piece of wire.
Bright pad for cleaning inside of your cabinet?
Why?
Well, I was asking for show ideas, and everyone wants to know a good, proper way to clean inside of your cabinet. Because, you get a new old game, and it's super dirty. Probably got mouse poop in it.
So, I'm sorry, you were talking about Scotch-Brite something right when I was leaving. What was the question?
How to clean inside of your cabinet.
Honestly, I vacuum clean them and that's it. You don't spend a ton of time looking at the inside of the cabinet, so generally I get all the nasty out, I clean it, I make it really handsome, and then I don't do much else other than that. I am, every time I go snip a piece of wire, I have a problem. I went and I got a 20 gauge piece of wire, or a 22 gauge wire, and I was like, no, I don't like that. And I walked back there and got an 18 gauge wire that is solid core. And I don't like that either. Wait, is it? Or is that just solder? Hold on.
Wall-to-wall carpet.
The difference between, there's two different kinds of wire. This is definitely solid core. Hey, let's give an example of that really quick, actually. Let's show what's going on here. Solid core wire is exactly what it sounds like. It is one thick piece of metal, which is your conducer. Then you've got stranded wire, which is very common.
Where are you standing?
Oh wait.
Oh.
So this is a stranded wire, right? This is what is inside your pinball game. This is very flexible and resistant to breaking. Solid core wire is a solid piece of metal, which holds its shape very well, but it does not like to be bent a lot. Solid core wire is really commonly used inside your house, right? It's easy to snake around walls and be pulled through things, but it does not like repeated tight bends. I'm being really picky, and it's annoying that I can't find the right gauge wire, but hold on, I'm going back to the sacrificial harness one more time.
Are you guys talking about putting carpet inside of your pinball machine? Shag carpet at that? I don't know. You're gonna if you shag carpet the interior of your meteor, definitely send us photos. I feel like it would catch on fire, right? Somehow, just doesn't seem like a good idea. I am definitely not the professional here, but
come on.
You could, plus carpet, it's not too good. I would put like wood paneling before carpet.
All right, this is just what it's going to be.
Every time someone says shag carpet, our bots get mad.
Shag carpet?
Yeah, it blocks it.
Moving pinball games around on shag carpet is a giant pain in the butt.
Austin Powers cabinet could have shag carpet in it.
Huh.
But again, it just seems dangerous.
What about Jungle Lord? Jungle Lord, he's kind of like a shag carpet kind of guy, I think. Maybe if he got out of the jungle and like got a haircut.
If you don't turn
Whoa! If I don't cut my hair, I could probably cosplay Jungle Lord.
Oh God, what is happening here?
Actually, then I'd have to take my.
Looking at the chat.
What?
We're just looking at a really blurry version of you because I got distracted. There we go.
I just got my.
What did I do?
I'm working on setting up a place to play pinball in my house a little bit better. I just brought my TNA home and I need to update it. It is a version or two of software behind, but I do very much look forward to playing that game very poorly for everyone to see. I had a really good game on it with my wife the other night. We got to Reactor 6.
Which game? Oh, you're talking about TNA?
Yeah.
Man, I want to play it so bad.
Well, when you come visit, we can play TNA.
Yeah, and Scott's down to come on the show and laugh at you.
That would be hilarious and amazing.
Says Reactor 6 is no joke. Yeah, the highest I've gotten on that game is definitely the awesome co-op mode. I think I did co-op with Steve Bowden once, and I felt so proud of myself for how far we got. None of it was due to me, of course, but it's the team effort. And I was like, yes, our team is awesome.
Yeah, no, co-op mode is my jam. I really love co-oping my way to oblivion in that game. So I think we got to Reactor 6. Well, we were working on Reactor 6, or maybe it was 5, but no, I know that's the thing, is like that is good. I think I was playing after one of our pinball leagues once at the Flipper Room in Concord, California. There were like three really good people, three people that were very good at pinball, and then me. And we got to Reactor 8. And that was just insane. It's just so exciting.
Yeah, you're not supposed to chill on TNA. You're supposed to be like, blah, the whole time.
Yeah,
right?
there's no chill.
It's not supposed to be chill. Speaking of the Flipper Room, today is Anna's birthday. She is 8 years old.
Happy birthday, Anna!
Yay! Happy birthday, Anna. She's still Mike Viticor's greatest competitor.
That's right.
What is TNA? Sorry, Rhett. TNA is Total Nuclear Annihilation. Designed by Scott Denisi, who is in our chat, which is super amazing.
Yeah, it's basically the greatest creation of the last couple of years. It is very, very innovative in so many fun ways.
TNA is still number one. Seriously.
Lots of inspiration from older games, which makes it it's fun, but with the heart and soul of something new. And it's very musically based.
Manufactured by Spooky Pinball.
Yeah. Good old Spooky. Good old Charlie.
With their latest game is Rick and Morty Pinball, which I still haven't played yet because of 2020, but I cannot wait.
I loved Alice Cooper a lot.
Oh yeah, that game's really scary too.
It's so good.
The ball goes in this way and then shoots out of some other direction way. I'm always
I think that's the magic of pinball that made
Scott,
me...
you finally got yours. Awesome.
What happened?
Scott finally got his Rick and Morty.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yay!
That's the thing that enamored me with pinball. The earliest memory I have of playing pinball was playing Twilight Zone. And the memory of shooting the ball, or plunging the ball, and it disappearing. I remember this very vividly. I mean, I can't remember what I ate for lunch yesterday, but I can remember that feeling of like, what the heck? What is going on?
Yeah.
Where is the ball going to come out? And that is what really got me enamored with this whole silly game.
Absolutely, same. Absolutely.
And that, yeah, I don't know. I've almost got, so one of our friends, friend in the area, Steve Burtok, I've worked on a few of his games here on the show. He's trying to recreate like his childhood arcade, which is a lineup of Kings of Steel, Flash Gordon, Vector, and Centaur. And I really want to recreate my childhood arcade of Twilight Zone, X-Files, and Theater of Magic. Now, I'll probably never own a Theater of Magic because I'm not paying that much money for one of those dang games, but I'm almost there. I got 2 out of the 3 available.
That's good. Oh, yeah. And speaking of, Johnny Demonic's here too. Awesome.
Whoa.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey.
Dee Valansky had a great tip. We were asked earlier about maybe doing an episode about cleaning the cabinet, but instead we were just giving tips in the chat on this episode. If you watch the archives, you can see all about putting shag carpet in your cabinet. Don't do that.
Do it.
David's tip is compressed air is a great first step in cleaning inside a cabinet. Helps prep for vacuuming and also allows you to find all the loose hardware before you hear it in the vacuum and wonder what you lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to hear that rattling. You're like, oh no.
Well, I mean, this cabinet's gross. I haven't touched it yet, right? I mean, that's like one of the last things you do. Hey, throw on the handheld camera.
Oh, sure.
Cleaning the cabinet's like totally one of the last things you do when you're like getting a game all nice.
Gross.
Because
I'm getting allergies just by looking inside of that cabinet.
I mean, that's what happens though, right? You're soldering and you get solder splashes and dirt and nasty stuff goes and drops in here. So, I mean, we could clean this, but I think the thing where I differ from a lot of people who, you know, air quotes, restore pinball games is like, you know, I just want it to be clean. I don't need it to shine and be sheeny and, you know, be something you could eat off of, right? I'm just trying to get something that is a good base, and just vacuuming this stuff out really makes a difference. Look how dirty that transformer panel is.
Let's do some golfing later. Kyle, you got to get on the VR golf.
I know. I need a VR headset.
It's the latest rage. It's so much fun.
It looks like so much fun. Every time I ask you to play Deep Rock Galactic with me, you ignore me. But you'll play golf.
Well, it's because I've been editing nonstop for Stern, and then now it's the Twippies.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Once the Twippies are over, I'll have a wee bit little more free time my free time.
Throw on green cam really quick. I'm totally addicted to another game right now anyway, so if you were like, hey, let's go mine some rocks, I'd probably say, I'm becoming a space pirate, so leave me alone. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to tighten this guy up, and we're going to do the really important adjustment here. We've done this many times, but let's do it one more time. We're going to get the end of stroke switch to do what it needs to do. The most effective way to do this is have the flipper at least tight in the pawl, the crank. So I am tightening the nut with my 3/8 inch open end wrench. I'm not super concerned about the position of the actual flipper right now. I'm just trying to get this thing snug. And once it starts really squeezing on, okay, now it's squeezing on the bat. But it's also binding a bit because we don't have any free play, right? I can't get any movement right now when I'm pulling up and down on the flipper. So we're going to try to introduce a little bit of free play here. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create a bit of a gap between this piece and the flipper bushing. So I'm going to hold the crank right now.
Yeah, let's get a shot update.
I'm going to hold the crank, and I am going to I have my other hand on the flipper, and right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it up and down and also pull towards the back box. It doesn't take a lot because it's still not super tight, but it's now, no, not enough.
Focus.
Might be a little too much, but we've got some free play there. Now it's not binding anymore. You kind of see what happened there? If I push this back towards the camera and I move the flipper back, you see how it's kind of sluggish? Oh, hold on. Let me tighten it.
So you have your hand on the other side and you're actually physically moving the flipper?
Yes.
Is that what's happening? Okay.
I'm going to tighten it a little bit more so it's not going to slip in the crank. But look, watch. I'm moving the flipper. You see that? It sucks. It needs to be free moving. So we're going to hold it. I'm going to kind of twist and pull the flipper up and out as much as I can. We're looking for a teeny adjustment here. Look at that. Now we have a teeny bit of free play. Do you see that up and down movement? Mm-hmm. Now it's good.
So it makes it smoother. Okay.
So if you were to buy a flipper rebuild kit from us, you would get a little tool which you can stick in between the flipper bushing and this crank here, and that is what you will lightly press these together and then tighten it down, and that'll help you set that distance.
Where's yours?
Probably in my toolbox somewhere. Let's check though, right? The flipper gauge that we send with the flipper rebuild sets is a... Actually, now you have me on the spot, and I don't want to dig through my toolbox.
Well, it's okay. Let's... I just looked at the time, Kyle, and it's already 4:50.
Oh, crud. Well, hey, look how far we got. Okay, really quick. There is a better episode on this, but let's look at it really fast, right? I'm going to move the flipper down close to where it needs to be. Right? Moving the flipper is not going to change the extent of travel of this lever. But let's look, right? I'm going to now push with the crank, not with the flipper. I'm sorry, with the plunger. I'm going to put my fingernail on the plunger. We're going to move it out. That opens way too much, the end of stroke switch. And also, it looks like the end of stroke switch is slightly colliding with this, this stop.
Can you bring the camera in a little bit? Maybe that'll help.
The end of stroke switch is slightly colliding with this stop nut here. So what I need to do is I need to actually loosen the end of stroke switch and push it down just a teeny bit. I need to get the end of stroke switch to sit parallel with the flipper base. I can see that it's cocked up. It's not in the right spot. But if we take this little collision here out of the picture, this is opening a little bit too soon. We can adjust this to open up a little bit later, and that'll allow us to get just a teeny bit more oomph out of the flipper. What we want to do is, what I will do is, these are going to be very rough adjustments, and this is a very lame way to do it, but I'm going to
No, we want to see the right way.
That's getting better. Well, what we're doing, right, is what we're trying to do is make it so the actuation crank is moving a little bit further away. And this isn't a bad way to do it, but it's not a super precise way to do it. But we're not trying to make a super precise adjustment right now.
Thanks for the resubscribe, the Wisp.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Oh, hey, look at that. I don't think I have this thing very tight because I was actually able to move it with my finger. So, anywho, I need to look at that, double check these things. But what I'm going to do is I'm trying to move this a little bit further away from the coil, and I'm not cranking on it. I'm just trying to get it to bend away a little bit, and we're going to look where it's close. Now, that's actually really dang good right there. Let's get the handheld camera.
It just opens it a little at the end, right?
Just a teeny bit. I mean, what the spec is, I think they always say it's like, have it open about 1/8 of an inch at the end of travel, right? That's why it's called an end of stroke switch. When the flipper reaches its end of stroke, the switch actuates. I gotta look at the camera here.
Yeah, give me a second to open
Yeah, go ahead.
So we can fold.
There's nothing wrong with using your fingers. I'm gonna take that back. Using a switch adjustment tool is fine, but if you're careful, you can get it the right way with the flipper. Are we good?
Yeah.
Raj, so when the flipper, right, when you hear the thunk, that's the flipper's shaft, this plunger hitting the coil stop. That's the end of stroke. So when this thing reaches its end of stroke, we've got just the slightest opening there.
Okay.
Teeny, teeny, teeny bit. And that's what we're looking for to have a clean, that's what we're looking for to have like the most power out of the flipper without burning the coil up. If we did not have this thing opening up, we'd cook the coil. So we want it to open up just at the end so it can hold itself up without cooking the coil, while also getting enough of a power stroke before it switches to its high resistance totality of the coil. Now, I could sit here and I could adjust for something called wipe, which is something we might want to adjust for. What that is we can adjust this long blade of the switch to cock it out a teeny bit at an angle. Let me not say an angle. We can finagle with that switch a little bit, so when this thing opens and closes, we get like a wiping action of the contacts where they'll kind of like scrub each other like that. That is the ideal adjustment. But
all right, let's see that. How do we do that?
That's going to take some time. Let's put that on the docket for the beginning of next episode, and hopefully next week we will be reassembling and playtesting and getting working the rest of the bugs out of the game. But we'll start it with adjusting for some wipe. I'd rather sit down and take some questions really quick. So.
Yeah, you got 3 minutes for questions.
Nah, we'll go a little over. We didn't have any storm today.
I know.
I didn't hear any hail. No tornadoes.
Adjusting for what?
But I only did. I have one flipper down here that's done. That flipper up there that's done. I still have to do 2 more, but we'll be fine. This one came together pretty easy. I have a little bit of crimping to do.
Here's a question for our chat. Next week, we're going to do reassembly of the game and hopefully turn it on and play it a little. And of course, starting with that adjusting for the wipe little setup, because I really want to see that too. Do you guys want to see the other flippers being rebuilt, or should we move on with this game? I should figure out how to do that little Twitch poll thingy, but I haven't. So
we've done a lot of flippers on this show, and I think flippers are like extraordinarily important. But I think I'd almost say we've beaten this with a.
The more I see it, the more I learn, and it retains in my brain, which is why I'm asking.
For sure.
But maybe everyone's ready to just move on. And
I think there's some...
What you did with this flipper is essentially what you'd have to do for every other flipper, right?
It's going to be the same thing. And we've done this twice now, I think, on this show. And I think you're right. It's good. But I think I personally say it might be time to move on because you never know what you're going to find when you actually turn the dang game on and start flipping around. You know, where adjustments need to be made, what switches might not be working, do we need to clean switches, adjust switches, why isn't this lamp working? That's kind of the fun part, right? A lot of people will think it's like, oh, I did all of the manual labor and now I just get to enjoy the game. It's like, no, now the work is starting. Once you get the game back together and it works, then you have to play it, because if it doesn't play well, it's not going to be fun, right? And these buttons need to be replaced. And I realized I've never taught anyone how to actually install a lock on a pinball machine. And that's really important. There's a lot of ways you can do this really badly.
Let's do that next week too.
We'll figure it out. Jungle Lord may be close to being done though, so.
Oh my gosh, so we have to pick the next game.
Nah, let's not get there yet. That's anxiety inducing.
Yeah, CNK said it's my turn to do the actual work, and we should swap places one day. We were talking about that earlier. Maybe, obviously not swapping places with Kyle, but maybe when I come out there, I can get my hands a little dirty and see if all this education has helped me.
Hey, I think that's a good idea.
It's definitely built my pinball tech theory.
Theory's important.
Execution? Not yet. Yeah, Freaky Friday. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it's being like to be 6'8" tall.
Wow, you remember exactly how tall I am.
I know. Show us what you've learned. I'll learn how to throw my drill bit across the room, how to flick
solder on the carpet.
Solder, yeah, flick solder everywhere. Yeah, not very difficult.
That will be fun. But, we'll plan a good episode, and then maybe you'll have to stick around and we'll do some playing at nighttime or something.
Yay! And okay, so any last questions for Kyle? This could be anything. Does not have to be related to flippers or Jungle Lord
or pinball.
Say roller games. Yeah.
Roller games.
While I look for somewhere to raid. Because we want to raid somebody.
Should we jump back and go do some location work on roller games? Don't look at my forehead.
Where is it at?
It's at Art Bar. Kyle, do you like pineapple on pizza?
He's going to judge you so hard based off your answer.
That's fine. Do I like pineapple on pizza? Yes. Do I generally order pineapple on pizza? No. So if you put pineapple and ham pizza in front of me, I would eat it.
Colin actually has a real question that's not beer related, and I told him we'd ask you. You were off camera. Hold on. Let me scroll up for you,
look at all this
Colin.
chatting. I need to watch this. I always want to see what y'all are saying. Sorry if there's an echo.
You could watch it on silent. Hold on. So, Colin had a question about his DMD.
Well, I saw it. It said garbage on DMD. What kind of game is it, Colin? I mean, garbage on dot matrix, you start with the ribbon cable because generally it's like corrupt or goofy data or a bad signal. But that could be, that's where you start, right? After that, it's about figuring everything else out. I'm going to assume you might be talking about your new game, your Last Action Hero? Correct answer. Yes! Rhett says, my Meteor backplate was put in upside down and that pounded the side of the back housing. Oh, yeah. My Meteor, it doesn't have a stop. So if I unlock the back glass and I forget about it, the lock bar gets stuck. Last Action Hero, ribbon cables check, 68 volt has 78 volts. Oh boy. I'm going to be honest, I don't remember. No, the Last Action Hero uses the same. There's a Last Action Hero right there. Hold on. I think that, you need to check your power supply, and I think you might have a game, you might be able to swap it straight across. The power supply is the same as a Williams System 11, if I remember. I don't remember if this is the exact same one.
Does the handheld reach over there?
Nah.
Wait, me. He also said, what chip should I check on the DMD board? And he also reseated the ROM. Brand new Rotten Dog PS. Oh.
Really? You know what? I don't know the data east stuff is good on the back of my head, from the back of my head, but garbage on the DMD. So, do you have any other data east games? I mean, that's where you could start, right? If you're really confused, just try swapping the computers and using different software. Usually garbage, though, I mean, generally that's a ribbon cable, man. New power supply, you're getting a weird voltage. 68 is 78. See, I feel like there might be something wrong there, so I don't remember, though. I don't remember what will happen if your 68 volts is high. That's a different RET, David, I think, than the one you're thinking of. That RET lives up in the Sacramento area. I think the RET you're thinking of is our friend in Oakland.
Rhett Henderson with the dune buggies?
Yeah, I'd say swap it from Rocky and Bullwinkle just to see, right? That's the easiest, quickest way to test it. Is it on the computer? Because if you plug it in, and you can even plug it in without the computer booting up, right? Because it's an independent computer. The computer for the Data East games will boot up, and you'll see stuff on the display without signal from the computer, at least the splash screen, right? It'll boot up and say Rocky and Bullwinkle version, whatever. Thanks, DeWisp. That's great. R95 can cause garbage on DMD and Data East games. So R95, is that on the computer or is that on the DMD computer? If not, RAM. Yeah, I think that's the easiest thing to do, though, man, is swapping the computers, right? Sorry, I'm reading the chat here. That's why I was quiet for a second. Yeah, okay, we'll do some stuff about locks. I just see people do locks really weird, and I mean, there's more than one way to do a lock, but I can show you how I do it, and you don't generally have issues. 33,000 ohm half watt. Geez, that's a big resistor. It might be on the computer then. Yeah, and that's the thing too.
Bring your monitor to where we can see you while you're answering these questions.
If you have the ribbon cables backwards too, it's not going to cause any issue. It would just cause garbage. So, this is my forehead. Hi. Sorry, the stream is the chat is so fun. Recommended to cut the legs on the resistor. Huh? Is it the stock computer in that game too, Colin?
Maybe we should change our Q&A to have people to call in.
That might be fun
so
one day.
we can actually hear their voice or get on Zoom, and then we can put them right here next to me.
I just don't. The problem is I don't. It's with the EM coaches. It's great because you have 4 really smart people talking and solving an issue. If I don't know what to do, then I guess we have to talk it out with the chat, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, DeWisp had a question too. He just reposted if you want to see. What to check if X-Pin display is not working on my 8903. I have the 190 volt.
I'm going to assume 8903 is supposed to be 6803.
Oh, before he said.
Well, if it's an X-Pin display, I mean, it's a low voltage display too. So, okay, hold on. Let me jump back really quick. To Colin's thing, because Obi Drunk Kenobi said what I was going to say too. With acid damage on Data East computers, a lot of the lines for the display data, it comes out right above where the batteries are, and there's some resistor capacitor packs that can go nasty and cause issues. So Really look for corrosion, Colin, because you might be surprised, especially if it's whatchamacallit, a stock computer. A 6803 game with a X-pin display. Yeah, so the X-pin displays are low voltage, right? So you don't need 190 volts. It only runs on 5 and ground. If you're getting nothing, then you might have you've got like a display data problem. I think on the 6803 computer, that's one gigantic connector somewhere, and it's split between 2 displays. Those connectors are awful little 0.100 awful things. So just look, make sure everything is connected well. You don't have nasty corrosion or anything is goofy. Cracked solder is a real possibility on the back of the headers on the 6803 computer. Did you have anything with your original displays? That's the first thing I would say. Yeah. I love display problems. They're just so dang hard to troubleshoot without getting your hands all over them. I do all the troubleshooting for our pin score displays at the office. I really enjoy doing that. So.
Yeah, just swap it with a pin score display.
The original displays were gassed out. Well, so here's the thing though, they were both actually bad. I was gonna say, well, if you swapped your old displays and put new displays in and they're still not working, they might not have been bad. But I mean, check for 5 volts. You're 95% certain you do have it because the rest of the computer's running, right? So, yeah. Yeah, no, it is. It's totally plug and play. It's just like our 6803 display that we sell, the pin score stuff. You plug it in and go. But the problem is do you actually have the right data getting to the display? What game is it? Are you 100% certain it's booting up and everything like that? Not to ask the dumb questions, but sometimes you got to start there, you know? Black belt. Ooh, cool. It's booting up. It's running. You've got feature lamps and stuff. Yeah, it's an attract. Huh. That's an interesting one. Look at your schematic and find you've got like BCD data coming out from one plug for segments and digits. So that's where I would start, right? Like look and see if you've got cracked solder on the back of the display or on the back of the computer. Make sure your connectors are good.
I know, you're killing me with this. Tilt the camera
I don't want everyone to see my forehead. That might be a fun problem to like call in and look at, or at least if I'm streaming this weekend, you know, if you get a notification, jump in. I don't have any 6803 games at home, but I could probably pull up a reheated the headers.
Yeah, if we stream this weekend, DeWisp or Colin, maybe you guys want to try this joining in on the stream. Since it's more informal on the weekend, it's not our official time slot. So maybe we can play around with that and get you guys actually on the stream with us, and we can do a little servicing together.
Yeah, no, definitely. But here's another thing to consider, and this is a little more abstract, so don't fixate on this, right? But the 6803 games used awful fluorescent bulbs to light the back glass, and those awful fluorescent bulbs turn things very brittle. Maybe you have a crummy connector that had maybe the housing has brittled up a little and it doesn't have good tension on the wires. As long as you've got 5 volts going to the display, there's nothing wrong with wiggling the connector that either goes into the display or the one on the computer. So give that a shot, right? Give it a little bit of a wiggle and look for a sign of life. That might be a good thing to try. I've got really dirty hands.
Pretty dirty.
They're not actually that bad. I'm complaining.
Look, this is much better. We can actually see you talking.
No one wants to see that. He did already. Oh, geez. Well, I mean, you know what? It's not impossible. Maybe you got a bummer display. It happens, right? Even with our brand new pin score displays, I mean, there are potential manufacturing defects. The weird thing is, though, right? On a 6803 game, you have 2 displays, and it's really weird that one of them is bad, right? If the other one was good, you'd still get half a display.
Ooh, and your packaging was banged up. Yeah.
That sucks.
Return it, get a refund, and buy a pin score from us. And use the free shipping code.
Emoto, the salesperson.
Come on.
I can't wait to play this game. I just need to work on pinball more here. I always feel like right when I get home, I just want to go play video games and not work on my games.
Yeah, his mic probably died. Kyle, where's your mic? Oh, no.
It's back.
Only I can hear his rant. You guys lost the rant.
What video games am I playing? Right now I'm playing a game called Star Sector a lot. It's really...
Star Sector?
Yeah, it's a really neat... Is
that on Steam?
It's not. That's the weird thing. It's like there's like 3 dudes that have been developing this game for like 10 years. And like they won't release it on Steam until it's like done. So it's cool though, because like these guys put out like one gigantic update every year and then like teeny little patches. But it's like a space exploration game where you can like outfit your ships and you can like explore or fight or be a pirate. It's a really cool game.
Wait, what platform is it on?
For PC.
Oh, gotcha.
Other than that, that's pretty much all I've been playing for a while now.
Did you finish Assassin's Creed? Which one were you playing?
I finished Origins.
Unity. Origins.
Origins was an incredible game. I need to play Odyssey. I'm really excited to play Odyssey.
No, come be a Viking. You need to play
Well, I need
Valhalla.
to get to that too. I'll wait for the Game of the Year edition. But I know I need to finish. One of my friends bought me a game called Disco Elysium, and I really, really need to. Or wait, no, he didn't. Well, Disco Elysium is a game I really want to play. Hold on. This game looks really cool. It's like a kind of a. It's like a old school role-playing game that's like an isometric game, but it's like set in some like futuristic dystopia kind of thing, and you're like a detective, and it's like super narrative based, and it's like won all sorts of awards. It looks really good. Sorry, we're not talking about pinball now.
All right, last question. What beer are you drinking tonight?
Some Beer Keller beer. Hold on. I'm going to get a beer. I have a funny story really quick.
Oh, God. After this, we're going to raid iSkidoo, who jumps in our chat and our stream every once in a while. He's playing a Stranger Things Premium. That's a pretty good shot. His super
Who's playing
clear
Stranger
cameras.
Things?
iSkidoo. And
Nice.
you can see the projector really well.
I love that game.
It'll be cool
it's
to
so
see
much
the upside
fun.
down. Yeah.
Hold on, I need to catch up with the chat really quick. It is kind of like Privateer. You're totally right, but it's neat because you can customize everything. Take a look if you're a PC gamer, Rhett. No problem, DeWisp. I am here to help. Star Trek. Ooh, Star Wars Episode 1. I love that game. That's a game I played a ton when I was a kid. Beer story. I'm going to be drinking Beer Keller, my favorite local brewery, all of my delicious German beer. But, so, like just this week, a year ago, they started doing their to-go crowler thing, right? Because, you know, everything shut down, right? Coronavirus, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if I should be honored by this or not, but on their post today, for like, oh, we've been shut down for a year. They said for, you know, our most loyal customers for this year, we will have a gift for you at the Crowler pickup. The 3 people that have been our biggest supporters over the past year, and it was like someone, and then me. And I was like, oh gosh, thank you.
You got
but
called out.
Does that make me an alcoholic or just someone very enthused about your fine German lagers?
Enthusiast. We'll say enthusiast.
Enthusiast, yeah, a big enthusiast. Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for joining and being here like every week.
I know.
Brannigan, thanks for
Thank you,
joining
everyone.
as well.
New Mexico Pinball, what's up? Hey, did you guys finish your DDR pad tutorial? I need that so I can do it. They hooked up a DDR pad to the flippers other game and was stepping on the DDR pad to flip, and it's the greatest thing ever.
That
and I
is
want
so
us to do
cool.
it.
Alternative pinball controllers might be my new favorite thing. That's really rad.
Yeah, it's awesome.
An enthusiastic beer drinker. Yes, absolutely.
Indeed.
Right now I am drinking a Two-Hearted Ale that we got for Steve's birthday last week. It's an incredible IPA. And it's got awesome art. Bell's has a great art department. I love that trout. It makes me really want to go buy a trout and eat some.
I thought you were going to say, make him my pet.
DDR and Guitar Hero.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I didn't see the Guitar Hero one, but I remember you guys talking about it. That's great. You still got to do the Power Glove, though.
I wish Guitar Hero did not burn itself out, because, I mean, if they put out like 5 Guitar Heroes like a year, right? That game is really good. Like, I really like playing Guitar Hero a ton. I have so many fond memories of playing that with my friends, like in my first apartment in Oakland when I was like 18. It was so much fun. I really want a, like, you know, full arcade stand-up Guitar Hero. That would be so cool. They're so expensive, though. I have a Guitar Hero controller that I need to repair one of the switches on, but I realized that I gave my Xbox 360 to my little brother when I moved to South Carolina, and Guitar Hero is not compatible on Xbox One. But then I found that there's like a open source kind of Guitar Hero-y project that for PC that like allows you to use that controller and play that style game. So I need to look into that. It's so cool, man. It's such a neat game, and then I just don't understand what happened to it. It just like went away.
I liked Rock Band because you can have the full band there.
Yeah, with the drums.
That went away too, which is sad.
I know all of those like instrument games
Those
went
were
away.
good party games for sure.
Absolutely, and they're fun. Like the challenge of Guitar Hero is like, it's neat. It's super innovative, but I think it's just like, you know, it's like, hey, this is super successful, so let's beat it to freaking death. And that was the end of it, you know. Thankfully, pinball doesn't do that. Every pinball game is the same, but so different. That's what makes it so great. I'm sorry, now Emoto's like, I want to go and walk my dog, and Kyle wants to sit here and read the chat.
Did you see me turn around and look at him?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it burned too hot too quick. I'm totally gonna stream on Saturday morning. I have to tell my wife that I'm going to do this, but I want to hang out with y'all, even though it's maybe you guys are gonna do important
so when you start
things on
streaming,
Saturday?
We don't have a particular time frame, but if Kyle gets up and running and streaming, I'll be there too. And let's bring some of y'all into the Zoom. Let's do some creative stuff.
David, maybe it is Frets on Fire. I think you're right. And it works on just a standard Xbox USB Guitar Hero controller. I need to fix that controller because I want to play. Even my wife loved it, and she like never played Guitar Hero before, and she was like really getting into it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It makes you feel so good, especially when you hit the notes right.
That's right. So.
All right, y'all. We'll be here next week, Thursday, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll do reassembling of Jungle Lord and a few other tips and tricks.
Yeah.
And we might be up live this weekend. So check on Twitch. Make sure you turn the notifications on so you get a little buzz on your smartphones.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. I know, Rhett, you were saying you might want to watch. Rhett, we usually when we
this channel.
When we stream on the weekends, we only stream to Twitch sometimes. Mm-hmm. So if you want to join us this weekend, make sure you're following us on Twitch and not just YouTube. The accounts are free to set up, and all you have to do is follow us, not subscribe.
Right, yeah, right. You're on YouTube. Yeah, come to Twitch. We can do more fun stuff.
We love you too, CNK. Thanks, Indie Pins. I will drink a beer for you, OB Drunk Kenobi. Thanks, David. I'm going to look at that. Oh, geez.
Don't have Twitch. Twitch is completely free.
Yeah, go get one.
Just sign up. It's free. You'll love it. We have an awesome. Thank you, Obi Drunk Kenobi, for all the gift tiers.
Oh, thank you.
Pez Johnson's here. Hey, Pez. I didn't hear you.
And about time, I don't know. I'd probably assume I'd probably start streaming about Twitch. 1 o'clock which would be 1 o'clock Eastern, maybe 1 or 2, which would mean what, noon-ish or 10-ish for you or whatnot in California. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, just email. I'll help you get onto Twitch. You should definitely come by.
Absolutely. And with that being said, everyone stick around for a little bit so we can show some love to Ice Skidoo, who's playing Stranger Things.
Thanks for sticking around. That's fun.
Yeah. We got a little extended show. You can hear that?
Mookie!
That's Mookie saying, Kyle, why?
Hey, Kyle, let me go for a walk.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, y'all.
As always. See you next week. Raid. And here's a splash. Yay.